Primal Chaos. Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. I'm back in Ren territory. Recently, you know, just before I went away on holidays, I checked out High Ren, and I did the story of Jenny and Screech. And to say that I was overwhelmed in both of those scenarios would be a gross understatement. And a lot of you in the comments hit me up and said, you got to check out Chalk Outlines with Chinchilla. I noticed that there's two videos on here. One of them was, I guess, like the album version. And then there's the live version, which I thought that seems like a great idea for me, because part of what I got out of the other two was the fact that they were live performances captured almost in a theatrical style. And that's something I've never really seen before that I can recall. And I thought that's super interesting. And I want to stay down that path. I assume this one's sort of in a similar vein. I don't know who Chinchilla is, so it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of how those two artists work together. I can't imagine Ren would collaborate with somebody who wasn't on the same level as him as far as like his ideas and the concept of who he is as an artist and how he relates to his music and stuff like that. I don't think he'd just frivolously just, you know, do a song with Ed Sheeran, you know, or something like that. I think you'd want something that works, a collaboration of sorts in his own ilk, right? So this is going to be real interesting. I'm super excited. Just before I jump in, I just want to say this video is brought to you in part by Enchroma. Enchroma make glasses for colorblind people like myself, and possibly you. 1 in 6 guys, I think 1 in 200 women are colorblind. A lot of people get to adulthood and don't even realize. If you click the link in my description, it'll take you to their website where you can get a free eye test, find out if you have a deficiency and if so, what kind. And then you can pick up a pair of corrective lenses. I wear mine every day. I love them. I love the way they've reshaped the way that I see the world. So with all that being said, let's jump in. Ren and Chinchilla, Chalk Outlines live. Here we go. Where does he find these locations, man? Oh, the use of reverb in these spaces. Yeah, again, he's got a radio connecting the guitar in. Oh, man.
I'm still here in this bed that I crawled in.
Hang on. Reminds me of Bring Me Home. Every time I come... Speaking of Ed Sheeran. Every time I come around, I know I can't stay here. I just heard that. Which is Ed Sheeran and Bring Me the Horizon collaboration. So, there you go. Anyway, I don't want to dismiss what's going on here. I'm going to jump right back here.
Still here in this bed that I crawled in. I hope that I'm someone else in the morning. So take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine.
Oh man, the room.
Walk around in the floating chalk outline. So it goes, let it be. In the gallows, a balanced on my toes so I can breathe.
Come on.
But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
Come on, his voice, man.
Sertraline and a sip of serotonin. Don't cry, 'cause there's a pill for everything. Take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine. The feeling goes and you draw a chalk outline.
So it goes, let it be. In the gallows, I'm balanced on my toes so I can breathe. But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase ourselves.
Sorry, I got to stop it somewhere. I'm really loath to do that, but copyright being as it is, it's part of the journey, right? But I do have something to say. What's magical about this performance, and you may have watched this 100 times and you're not quite sure what it is, but there's a tangible connection between them as performers in the way that they're interacting with each other and they're interacting with the environment. You can hear it in the way that they're singing and the way that they're really pushing in, to the pitch. They're leaning into just singing these angelic highs and these beautiful harmonies and stuff like that. And everybody who's singing anything is always trying to do their best, but there's something that magical that happens when you hear yourself back in a space or, through a system, whether it's a beautiful reverb in a microphone in a studio, or in this case, an organic space where just by the nature of the space you're in, the environmental ambience pushes you to lift everything up to be more angelic and have this flavor to it that just is, if you're in a dead space and you're just singing with yourself, you don't have that feedback that sort of gives you that satisfaction, right? Having a beautiful space and also a counterpart, a singer to bounce off that is experiencing that same vibe, and you have that connection and everything locks together and you harmonize so beautifully that you can't help but give a stellar performance, because it's just, you just want to. There's this desire to live up to the expectations of the room, if that makes sense. And you can hear it in Ren's high notes at the start when he's singing by himself. He's right on this borderline, right up there, like, sort of pushing against the constraints of the top end of his voice, but it puts this edginess and this harshness at the very edge of the tone that sounds so beautiful in that ambience that it's almost like the room itself is dictating the way that he's singing. Because if you have that harshness, that sort of sibilance bounces off the walls and comes back to you 1,000-fold and just feels so beautiful. You can hear it in the recording, because I think the way that they do things is he's obviously mic'd up, she's mic'd up close, the cameraman, I believe, has probably like some sort of a stereo mic or something on there to pick up the room, and they just balance between. I assume that's what happens, because sometimes when he moves away, you'll hear them sort of pull back into the reverb of the space a little bit. They use that technique in the story of Jenny and Screech as well, which I went over in that video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's one of my favorite reactions of all time. But, you know, having that connection, what it was reminding me of was there's a YouTuber or you know, some sort of a content creator who's like a busker, and he'll go down into like a subway, you know, to busk, but he'll have a sign up and it's like, if you can sing, join me and we'll jam, right? And you get these people who are, you know, maybe they're in another life, they're an amateur singer, or maybe they do karaoke, or maybe they do something, but they choose a song and then they'll sing it. And you'll see this moment where, you know, it's such an unusual situation for a normal person to walk off the street and meet somebody, and then in that moment, we're going to perform together and you're going to sing your heart out on this song in front of a bunch of strangers who are judging you and all that. And you see there's always a moment in the most impactful ones of those videos where the person gives themselves over to the ambience of the space and the situation. And you can hear them, you can see them, you know, experiencing that feedback of this beautiful, cavernous sort of, you know, reflective space of like a subway station. And they'll hear themselves back and they'll hear the beauty of their voice, and it'll bolster their confidence. And you'll see them just close their eyes and give themselves over to the experience. And you get these amazing performances out of these people. Oftentimes you'll see the guy playing guitar will look over and be like, wow, you know, it's intense. And it's like their 1 15-minute of fame kind of moment to be the creative, you know, artist that they aspire to be, maybe in another life. You know, it's such a beautiful thing. But that's what I'm getting here. I'm getting there's that feedback in the space that's pushing them to the heights of the angelic sort of performances. Anyway, I'm going to jump back a fair distance because I want to catch the vibe again. Oh, and also the lyrics, man. Wow.
So it goes, let it be.
Count with me. Let it be. As soon as they stop that note, if you've got good headphones on, listen, and you'll hear that note ring out for a certain amount of time. And to me, it's like 5 or 6 seconds of reverb, right? Which is massive. That's a huge cavernous sort of sound. About 6 seconds before you stop hearing that reverb.
But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase ourselves. Such a perfect day, take it just in case, take it just in case. I'm scared of being okay, cause all things change, all things change. It's such a perfect day, it's a beautiful shade, it's a beautiful shade.
The mix is
Scared of
beautiful.
being okay, cause all things change. But little by little, bit by bit, I'll push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase
these chalk outlines.
Ren, you just keep doing this to me, man. Oh, you know, like the interesting thing about this artistically is, you know, High Ren hits you because it's so introspective. And I mean, I didn't know Ren's story when I first initially reacted to that. And so I sort of projected a lot of my own creative insecurities onto my interpretation of it. I think everybody does that. I think you sort of, you see a lot of yourself in what he's getting at. And then the story of Jenny and Screech broke my heart because of the content of the narrative. The performance is what it is. It's an incredible performance. And that in of itself is evocative and emotional because you're witnessing somebody who's at the absolute peak of their creativity, right? But the story of what happens is what eventually broke me in that one. In this one, it's you know, I mean, this is the closest thing I've heard Ren do to a traditional pop song that you would hear on the radio, right? You could put a beat under this and you know, with some studio singers, and you could have a hit, right? Again, like to bring back Ed Sheeran, you could give this to Ed Sheeran, he could collab with some other vocalist, and it could be a hit. But what's evocative about this is the performance itself of the song, right? There's not, I mean, you know, I haven't been able to establish connection with the lyrics in a way that I've sort of developed my concept of what it's actually about, what it's getting at, other than, I mean, chalk outlines are what you draw around bodies, right? And so there's definitely something going on there that's, you know, again, it's introspective, it's self-judgmental, and it's, you know, we put these lines around ourselves and whatever. To me, what is emotionally challenging about this is the dynamics of the performance. It seems earnest and real, and it is. I mean, it's captured live, right? These two individuals shared a moment of creativity when they performed this, and you know, they probably did a few takes and all that, but I think the one they chose here is the winner for sure, because they're both on the same level of, you know, it's not like one person is giving everything and leaning right into the feel and the vibe of what they wanted to do, and the other person's not quite getting it. It's just they're connected on a creative and almost like a purely emotional level. It isn't acting. It feels like they're experiencing this song in this moment, in this space together, and they're both feeling that vibe and they're reacting accordingly. The dynamics of the you know, the performance are absolutely stunning. They go from loud and boisterous, big high notes, to quiet introspection and almost whispered lyrics. Not every one of the notes is 100% perfect, but there's 110% emotion and passion behind those notes. So it's not it doesn't matter, right? And, you know, I mean, it's as good as any live performance will get as far as pitch accuracy and all that sort of stuff. You know, these guys are clearly talented performers. Yeah, I don't know that I got much else to say about it. This was absolutely a beautiful piece of art right here. I'm a big fan. I'm gonna have to look into Chinchilla and find out what's going on with her, because she's got a cool voice. Again, like, you know, some of those things she was pulling up at the end there, she's got like a brashness to her. You know, I'm sure she's got some animosity that she can bring. Such a perfect day, take it just in. But then she can also bring it back here where there's barely intelligible notes, you know. Instead of being okay, 'cause all things change. Like she's bringing it back so that, because this is clearly a part it's really Ren, and she's providing a backing vocal. So she's sitting way back, like naturally, not mixed back. She's pulling her performance back to let him have his moment, and then they're going to trade, right? It's such a perfect day. It's a beautiful shade. It's a beautiful shade.
ketamine, okay, 'cause all things change. But little by little, bit by bit, I'll push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my.
Erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
Yeah, you know, that's what I mean by dynamics. You know, they can take it right down and bring it back up and almost to the point where it feels like it's being conducted. You know, it's so beautiful. Oh my God. I'd love to know how much work and process goes into coming up with that dynamic, or is it just natural? Is it just like these two jam together and they just develop a feel until eventually they just throw a camera in front of it and that's what you get? I'd like to think that it's that, to be honest. Either way, like the magic doesn't change whether or not there's hours of work behind it or if it's just a natural feel. Because they're just both such beautifully seasoned artists, you know. But man, whew, well done, guys. Well done. I don't know if either of you are going to watch this reaction, but thank you. That's all I got to say. That's absolutely stunning. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate this recommendation. Obviously, if you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to support the channel just by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Or just like, share, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. You know, wow. I'm really excited about this journey with Ren. And I guess now Chinchilla as well. And also you guys helping me along on that journey as well. So if you have anything to say, if you feel like I missed anything, which I always do, especially with Ren, as far as context goes or story or even just anecdotal stuff from behind the scenes, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate everything and stay primal. We'll catch you on the next one.